Guys, I'm actually, well, there's radio on in the background. Radio? Professor listens to radio? Yes, that's NPR. Actually, my dog likes it. I have a pug named Eloise. She's kind of taking a bit of a semi-nap over there on the back of one of my couches. But she does like listening to NPR, so I leave it on for her when I go. And I play it for her in the morning, too. Okay. Turn that pesky radio off. I just thought to add this little bit here about Father Charles. I think it's Coughlin. I haven't heard it pronounced that many times, to be honest with you. I don't think it's Coughlin, but I might be wrong about that. That's probably something you guys can look up and let me know if you want to. It just occurred to me that in a little while in the lectures, we're going to be talking about programs, early radio programs in the 30s particularly. And we've got a dramatic one, a kind of a creepy one, and a hopefully somewhat funny one called Fibber McGee and Molly. But what I've left out is political speeches, and there were a lot of those on the radio. I do have FDR, President Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, a little bit of a fireside chat from him, but I don't have the kind of, quote, opposition, unquote. And so this fellow that you're looking at here, Father Coughlin, is based in the Midwest. I want to say Chicago. Might be wrong about that, too. So I wish I'd done a little more research, and I'm sorry, but I just want to include this in our programming. He gave speeches on the radio, and by the way, that strange contraption around his neck looks like a harmonica holder, that Bob Dylan might use when he played the guitar and he didn't have hands free to hold his harmonica. But I believe it's a microphone, if I'm not mistaken, so that the father could gesture strongly as he spoke in turn or this or that, and not have to worry about being close to the microphone for the radio broadcast. So it looks like he's invented some contraption with a microphone always close to his mouth so he can do what he needs to do up on the stage there. Presumably his lectures then on the radio are done in front of crowds of people. He was regarded as, he was anti-Roosevelt and anti-FDR, so everything Franklin Roosevelt was trying to do for the economy and for the lower and middle classes who'd been hurt so hard and all the jobs lost in the Depression. This guy was against, and he was against, among other things, Social Security, which was a big advance that FDR made on behalf of lots of citizens of the United States who did not have any kind of savings for old age. He was also, as you can see, a little squib on the bottom here, an anti-Semite. And but these speeches were listened to and taken seriously by many people, particularly devout Catholics, although the Catholic Laymen's League and other Catholic organizations condemned him. Nevertheless, he had an influence, and he said a lot of things that weren't true. And so you may recall that early on in our lectures, maybe even the first, maybe probably the second day when we talked about the history of media in the U.S. and kind of quickly went through everything, I played War of the Worlds, a piece of War of the Worlds for you, Orson Welles' creation in 1938, depicting a supposed invasion of Martians. One of the reasons Orson Welles did that was he was concerned that people seemed to be able to say anything they wanted over the radio, whether it was true or not. Now, does that sound familiar, folks? Okay, so this is Father Coughlin is an early example of fake news. A demagogue, someone who would say anything to sway the people one way or another, whether it was based on the truth or not. And so Orson Welles made War of the Worlds to kind of satirize that, or kind of turn the knob up on that, to try to highlight that, you better be careful to what you listen to on the radio, and not believe everything you hear. And so with that little bit of talking about Father Coughlin, I've got a quick little kind of a film clip on him, which includes some of his speaking and some of the reaction to it. So here we go.